Got a praise in my heart, got a praise on my lips. Gotta praise him every chance that I get. I get so excited about what he's done for me. So excited, yeah. So
there's no way to be around you and not have a smile on your face.
Thank you,
I want to say this one last little bit of introductory encouragement.
Got a praise in my heart, got a praise on my lips. Gotta praise him every chance that I get. I get so excited about what God's done for me. So excited, I get so excited about what God's done for me. So excited, yes. Got a praise in my heart, got a praise on my lips. Gotta praise him every chance that I get. I get so excited about what he's done for me. So excited, yeah. So excited about what God's done for me. So excited, I get. Gotta praise in my heart.
There we go. Hey, what's going on, family? Goodness gracious. How are you guys doing? Happy Friday? Huh? Did you get to where the money reside? Where the money reside. Listen, let me tell you. I went on and found my way. This week to where the money resides. My mama said this morning, she said, I heard it's where the blessings reside, Yeah, well, the blessings, the overflow, oh, bless his name. I got to all of it this week, okay? And I'm grateful for it. Listen, what a journey this week has been. It is Freedom Friday. Why is it Freedom Friday? Well, happy birthday, King. It's Freedom Friday. We're going to celebrate this thing all the way out. I'm hitting topics that are trending, things that are going on in the nation. Lord, we done impeached this man twice, and he still don't want to go home. He must know he going to jail. Huh? Where the money resides. Oh, my goodness. But anyway, people, talk to me in the chat. Let me know how you're doing. Always remember, I appreciate every like, every subscribe, every share. Share this with somebody that could use a good laugh this evening, because this weekend is going to be a busy one for me between homework, singing engagements and such. It's going to be a lot going on. I might have some people, I might have a person dropping in with me, but I want to tell you about what's coming next week. Next week, I'm going to have a special guest by the name of Charlay Johnson, newest author. Hello. Come on, somebody. I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of everybody that's taking lemons and making lemonade, telling your story to be a blessing to somebody else, not telling your tea, telling your story to be a blessing to somebody so that somebody can learn a lesson or two. Listen, aren't we grateful for those lessons? My mom always said, I don't have to touch the stove. If I saw you touch the stove and get burned, I don't have to touch it and get burned and know it's hot. Hello. Listen, it's been a couple of situations where I done seen it go down, Lord. Woo! And you just tell God, thank you. Thank you for keeping me. Anyway, so listen. Next week, I'm going to have a dear friend with me, and she is going to be sharing about her book, and it's going to be Winning Season with Charlay Johnson. So if you don't know who Charlay is, go back and look at some of my videos where she was one of my guests. We talked about the pandemic parenting, what life looked like now, with trying to send children to school, trying to be the teacher at home, all that kind of stuff. And then her husband joined me, Elton Johnson, with KB Strotter. out of Texas. We had ladies' night. And so we're going to have to bring ladies' night back. I got some brothers that need to come to the table. Oh, yeah. We got to have a conversation. So we're going to have to bring ladies' night back. But y'all talk to me in the comments. Let me know. I see you. I'm getting to you. I'm not trying to leave anybody out. I am here for this red today. Although I know it is AKA's Founders Day. Happy Founders Day to you. J5 for the Kappas. That was on January 5th. The awesome and amazing women of Delta, their Founders Day was this week as well. Listen, I am here for it all. Greek love to everybody. The Sigmas had their day. Greek love to everybody. I'm here for it. So now I told you listen, I was going to do my absolute best. I hear you, Reverend Wynn. She said that she thinks Trump is going to jail. Listen, may he make his way, okay? And may the peace of God, all right, and the sweet communion of the Holy Spirit rest, rule, and abide behind them bars. Amen. Write a book, write that down. I said it. But listen, so Don Lemons got me hyped up last night, and I said I wasn't gonna do too bad today. I'm gonna try, okay? But Don Lemons got me hyped up. When I sat back and looked at there were interviews of people who attended. Watch this. They went to the rallies at the Capitol, and they said people came in. They came talking on bullhorns, telling them we're going. Okay, rallies that were held in the area. They were then told that we're going to the Capitol. So on bullhorn, so they're all thinking, okay, this is what we're doing. Then some get there and they're like, why is it a big noose hanging? Then I saw something that struck a nerve with me. There was a gentleman there, a couple of them, that had on shirts that said Camp Schultz. Okay. If you ever read Anne Frank as a student in school or anything like that, that might ring a bell for you. Okay. Because that name was the name of a plethora of camps that held the Jewish community in the concentration camps. So these are full-fledged Nazis. Okay. All right. So now, why would Nazis be at a rally for Trump? Why would people that like to persecute people be at a rally for Trump? Could it be? Well, I'll let you come to your own conclusions, okay? I'm going to let you come to your own conclusions, and I have someone that just entered the waiting room. Oh, my goodness. Listen, people, I hope you're ready, because at least I don't have to go down the rabbit hole by myself. Yes, the one and the only, the good doctor himself. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? I want to see some hand claps. Now, if I bring guests on, y'all know you got to act right. Got to act right, village. Please put your hands together for the one and the only. I hope you're ready. Give me thumbs up. You ready? My guests, are you ready? All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one and the only Dr. Wayne Hopkins. There he is.
Well, hello, Lady Fran. Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Happy Friday.
Freedom Friday. Let
Friday.
freedom ring, okay?
Ring.
Let freedom ring. So, okay, so you popped in.
Yes, I'm a little late. You got to catch me up a little bit. I don't want to be off topic. That's the last thing
I promise you. You're going to fall right in. I told them that I messed around last night while washing dishes, after the pig feet incident. Oh, family, we'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, I was watching Don Lemons while I was cleaning in the kitchen. And Don Lemons kind of, got me amped up again because I was looking at him. I'm like, how is he keeping a straight face through these interviews where he has shown the incriminating footage, and they are literally sidestepping everything he's saying.
Yeah.
And so I made mention of the fact that there were a couple of people there that had on these shirts that said Camp Schultz, which refers to the concentration camps that the Jewish community was held in, and Frank being one of the prisoners associated with it. Oh, you see, you can say it better than me. You say it.
Auschwitz.
Oh, yeah. See, so I was trying to figure out.
Not that it's a laughing matter, but I mean, well, let me just pop in, okay? Because that sidestep began back in 1776. Because we have sidestepped the reality. While our principles have been one thing, achieving and attaining those principles have been quite something else.
Yes.
Thing I tell people these days and times when they say we're taking our country back or the Jews will not replace us. Well, no one's trying to replace anybody. If anything, there's been a history of displacement. Some would say even genocide. Just the idea that I see something I like, I want it, I'm going to take it, and then blame you when you cry. That's a toddler's mentality. So we've been sidestepping where reality is. Now, I will say this as a proud American citizen, okay? I pay my taxes and tithes, okay?
Yes.
So ideals are solid. The ideals will probably never be perfectly reached, but it is our desire and forward movement, which can obviously only be accomplished as a unified nation. So when people in the current day try to sidestep, well, you know, they weren't really intending to kill anybody. You sneeze wrong next to an officer with a gun. I'm going to share a brief story. While I was on a conference call for my racial justice group, one of our members was driving. While he was on our call, he was pulled over, and the officer realized that he had his phone at a certain point. He said, so you're going to record me. See, I was going to let you go, but now I don't know what your intentions are with this recording. To me, the proper statement would have been, sir, I'm wearing a body cam. Everything that's happening is going to my dispatch right now. You're always welcome to contact the office. Here's my name. Here's my information. In other words, there's a way to have that exchange to engender comfort and security and reduce the tension.
Exactly.
But our norm has been to sidestep. Oh, this person is probably causing no harm, but I'm going to terrorize them anyway because I can. So that sidestep has gone on from the people who said, oh, these are the founders. Well, those founders were either cheating on their wives when they made those black babies, because we have the same ancestry. They were not the good Christian men that they might have said, or they're like everyone is. We have brokenness. We all sin and fall short of the glory of God.
Yes.
We all need to find our way to the greater ideals, whether they be biblical, constitutional, personal, or any other kind of there may be. So I just say don't be surprised, because they're going to keep tap dancing right into the jail.
Well, and that's the whole thing. And that was the part that got me, Hopkins, because every time Don asked the question, he kept saying, okay, so tell me about, I want you to watch this footage. Now tell me about this gentleman right here. And the gentleman that he was speaking to, he said, well, we are corralling and we are using state-of-the-art FBI software to trace these people that made themselves visible. So in other words, you're only going after the dummies that got caught. You're only going after the ones that actually got full facial recognition, where you can track this person, find out where they are, and basically you're losing your job because you got caught. So now that means that the memes that are out there where it says now these new generation supremacists understand now why their grandfathers wore white hoods, so they can keep their job. So it's like it's like, I understand we're trying to bring awareness to the fact that, hello, we all saw this. We are not dumb. And so, and Don is sitting there with this straight face, so he doesn't give away the fact, I got y'all. Like, you got to admit the fact, I got you. And they don't want to do that. So it's that deflecting they're being handled. But, let's focus on the fact that it's over. Let's focus on, we can't just let it go because that one incident is over. They're still talking about it. They're doing more things.
They say let's appeal to unity. And here's the thing. Unity
Now,
unity can only come when people have some desire to unify. I can say, looking historically at what happened in the wake of the civil rights movement, if you ever see that documentary, Eyes on the Prize, I watch it almost every year at Black History Month, probably starting around the King holiday, which is now. It was just before I was born, but in the past year, we've all had a kind of an awakening. It wasn't that long before I was born, meaning that our people, my parents, a living generation, was fighting for just the right to be considered a full citizen.
Exactly.
They were paying full taxes, even though they were fully engaged in the workforce and in education and every other factor and sector. And when people take that movement and say, well, I need my rights too, when you already have them, number one, or I need my rights too, when you're not particularly oppressed in the same way. I'm not saying that people cannot stand up for their beliefs. That is a part of our constitutional right. However, you have to recognize your rights extend to such a degree that people have to remind judges, this person did pose a live threat to the highest ranking officials in the government. Those things can't just be swept under the rug with $200 worth of bail money. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And so what we're dealing with, though, the conversation has to be, you need to articulate what is it that you really want? What else do you really want? And if you notice, the majority of the people who are doing all this talking, they don't have a cohesive message. They don't have they're not necessarily clear on what they want. They don't
even know why they're out there. They don't know. They have no clue as to what it is that they want to go for. They're literally just yelling and screaming because they feel like something was taken from them. They're in denial because it's like, once again, not only was slavery taken, not only did they lose slaves, but now you're losing the states that were once all red, and now you can't accept the fact that they're blue. I mean, come on.
The other part of it is where we have to, if they're talking about how do we find them, well, most people post it throughout social media. I've had friends tell me
they're not very bright.
No, I've had people tell me years ago to watch what you post and how you post, because it's not just job sites looking. It's not just, the government probably has thorough files on many of us. Who knows what might be there?
Exactly.
How that information has been used historically, of course, has been. I always look to the Black Panther Party. They were feeding children who were hungry for breakfast. They were helping single parents or working parents who just could not afford to pay the rent. Look at what's happening now in the pandemic. We have an economic crisis. A $600 stimulus payment one time. For the 0.01% of people who's gonna buy some shoes with that, or a pair of shoes, there are families who can maybe eat for the month, and they still have to figure out how to get caught up on the rent. When you have a rent control measure that is temporary, which is very unique in California, because we have repeatedly not voted in the kind of sweeping rent control that can help families stabilize communities. No one's ever going to take money out of a developer's mouth. A multi-million-dollar corporation is always going to come. Look at how they become billionaires, even during the pandemic. And the regular people suffer. So what happens is, this group of people who were willing to die when they went to the Capitol, they knew they could have been shot. They just got lucky that they were not shot on sight.
Exactly.
And so when you have them willing to martyrize themselves or treat someone like number 45 as a martyr should harm come to him, or just to say that we've come to the light, we don't have to hide anymore, we can be out front with what we believe. Well, that's fine. But if you're wrong, you're going to be wrong. If you continue to pose a threat and do harm to people, your argument is now completely invalid, because you've made yourself out to be a complete lunatic. Yes. And when that lunacy continues to touch higher, this is how we get to wickedness in high places. It doesn't just necessarily start up there. It climbs up like that itsy bitsy spider, okay? Yeah. And even if you build a strong web, let me get my braid, okay?
Right, I can still take you out.
I prayed, okay?
Right.
At a certain point, all we can do is observe and watch these things happen, because when people don't, and I'm sorry to run on, but when people want to, even in the public sector, try to, delegitimize our vote, or
Mhm.
question our citizenship and say these things are invalid because they're hurt. You're taking something from me. My hands are quite clean. I've taken nothing from anybody. I was 5 years old and took candy with one hand. I had money in the other. I just didn't understand how it worked to pay for them. And after mother applied the Board of Education to the seed of truth, I figured it out. That was the last time.
Yes, come on. They don't know about that.
They don't know nothing about that. So
They
my
don't know
hands
about
are
the
clean
border
to take
there.
something from anybody. And when I look back and see how did I run into a racially motivated person who interviewed me and somehow they found someone or went in a different direction. You know, we could really go there if we must. But my thing is when people want to try to find a way to justify the things that are just plain wrong, just plain stupid, there's a price to pay. And as I said,
I'm sorry. I stopped. I thought about the fact, I was looking at how the whole social media aspect has played into it, how they've been able to catch people and do this and do that. Then it crossed my, of course, Twitter finally, after after 4 years of turmoil, finally decided to end his account. I believe Facebook decided to terminate. No, I think Facebook terminated permanently. Twitter terminated until the end of the presidency and all. But I really don't think people really understand why the impeachment was so important, why that piece had to happen. And I really think more than anything, it had to do with the football than anything else. Sure. The fact that it's like, being able to control. This man still got, can have his finger on it. But if he knows that he has like the fact that there were Republicans who voted that he needed to be out, that would be enough to kind of keep him under wraps. Hopefully keep him under wraps at least until we can get out of this, can the 20th just get here, please?
Listen, take it as the old song used to go, one day at a time, sweet Jesus. Okay?
No, I'm trying to skip. Can we just go?
But look what happened though. When we tried to rush out of 2020, look what 2021 has done in 14 short days, 15 short days. Okay.
Hopkins, I'm tired.
Here's the thing though. Here's the thing. Let me sprinkle some hope on here.
Okay, please.
First of all, I clearly our Most High has a sense of humor because we look at things, we see through a glass darkly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you look at what has been allowed, okay, the Twitter account was canceling that within days of the end of the administration means nothing because people allowed the Twitter to be governance. Okay.
Yes.
That should always have been relegated to entertainment. That's nice. You said that. You have the right to say that on your personal profile, like you've been doing.
But
that
it ain't law. That's not what we go by.
Law. And so when people started responding to entertainment as though it were the law, we in the church have a responsibility against that too. We can say and do the, I mean, we could get down with it, but when we start to make when the hoop becomes more important than the text, okay, or when the when the 3 points that have the alliteration and the PowerPoint and all that kind of stuff is more than what the original context and that writer intended, then we got to be careful for the responsibility that comes from that. So we ended up with a reality show, which is what we were promised, which is what some people joked about. But
are you saying, wait a minute, are you saying that his whole presidency was nothing more than a doggone reality show?
I will take the qualifiers off. I won't say nothing more. I would say it became very much a reality show, meaning that the character that came on NBC's Apprentice, which at one point was canceled. So this is not the first time that the gig was up. Okay.
Ooh.
So we should have been able to understand that. Should have been able to be okay with that and roll with the punches. Say what you want to say. You're lost. I'm going on to bigger and better thing. Take it that way. Continue with the character so that you can allow some shred of dignity to remain. But since that has not been the case,
honey, there's no dignity left. I mean, listen, I knew that it was. that this is going to be a complete debacle. When I'm sitting there, first of all, when I got your text, they're like, do you see what's happening at the Capitol? Because I'm on with my students. So I'm like, okay, like, do I even want to look? And so then it's like, okay, I'm like, well, has he spoken yet? I didn't know, because at that particular moment, I didn't know that there were any rallies happening. I didn't know that he had attended that stuff. So it's like, okay, for what though?
We've been in a 4-year campaign. Actually 5 years. This campaign started like January of 2015, when the candidates first started to appear. And look at the footage that's coming out. The people who opposed him at the very beginning fell in line like little puppy dogs are now turning back against him. See, that is a sign of credibility that has been sacrificed, but hopefully people will make good judgment and saying, wait a minute, since you can't make up your mind and you saddled us with this nonsense, you don't get a 30, 40, 50-year Senate career that's always going to outlast the presidency. What people need to understand, and what I would say to our people in our community, as I focus on my show, Pastor Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock, as a senator, has an opportunity, yes, to be a multi-platform political professional, but also to have a Senate career that can balance out some of these long-term, political dynasties that have maybe done some good, but they fatten their own pockets for generations on the backs of working people who when they have nothing left to lose, why not go in March and maybe I get shot? Maybe the insurance will kick in for my kids because I feel like I'm like, but I'm gonna go here because they always say, so somebody took my job, a brown person took my job. Okay, guess what? The job that was so-called taken from you, that decision was made by an executive in a boardroom who was not a brown person. It was not a female.
I'm sorry. I'm glad you said that because I was on the freeway and I saw a big sign at the Kia car dealership that said now hiring. And then it hit me. Yeah. For every sign that you see now hiring, how many risk letters went out? How many people lost jobs just so you could lower the wages and bring in people at entry level that have been displaced from other things? So it's like, good grief.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, the jobs that we're taking, if you say factory jobs, factory jobs have not been completely sustainable in our country for many years, just because of cost of living wages, cost of insurance, cost of raw materials, things of that nature. And so the bailouts that happened for General Motors, Chrysler, Ford, mostly just the big two of the big three, they're never going to give households, American households, that kind of money for a bailout that will actually help them. Say if you give a family enough to pay off half their mortgage and just reduce their interest payments, that's going to give them the kind of freedom that we're supposed to have, where we don't have to work ourselves to death. Okay, I might have to tip out after if I get in trouble on this. But the other problem is when you look at who is making the most noise and say, you took something from me, you took something from me. The people who defund education in order to fund police programs that don't offer counseling, they don't even study marksmanship in all of the precincts. They teach them, they give them something to shoot at, but they're not really given that higher level of training, which I would say American police officers should have. Give them the tools, give them the emotional training or the psychological training to engage a community, to understand how a different person might react if you pull them over, if you say halt, if you do this. There's a corrective that can be done probably within a decade or so, but it's going to cost. So then when you look at who's saying, well, you took something from me, education has been taken away, emphasis on certain subjects, the STEM subject, the people who apply for the scientific jobs in aerospace and all that kind of stuff, they study engineering, they do their homework. They go to class, whether it's on Zoom or in the building. So when you can't conjugate a sentence, you can't spell even on Twitter, and then you talking about somebody took a job, that was not your job. You didn't want the job. You allowed someone to come in from a foreign nation.
You didn't make yourself indispensable.
Yeah. And so, and when you, the bigger problem that I see is there's been an attack on intellectualism. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, especially when Lady Fran's in the room. You know what I'm saying? Like she knows stuff, okay? And as an educator professionally, I play at it. I do my little part. But the thing about it is when people have basically and routinely bullied science, bullied people of letters and humanities, when you completely disregard what it takes to engage a community or even one person who is suffering, you're comfortable with someone else's suffering, and you know your turn is coming. Whatever you believe, there's a karma for that. There's a penalty for that. So you can't tell me how Christian you are when you are promoting the suffering or the blatant murder or maiming of someone else. That's just not going to work.
No,
you know that's what we're faced with. Folks just don't want to think clearly because they don't have to. But
no, they don't. They don't have to think clearly. They don't have to, depending on the shade of melanin, they don't have to do any of those things because the privilege kicks in, and that's just supposed to make all things well. And no, that's not the case. I think the part that just the fact that, it's like we can't even celebrate. First of all, you're making a mockery of us. That's one. We have on the international front, you have other countries that are looking at us. We're supposed to be the birthing place of democracy.
Oh, yeah.
You go into other countries with swinging this democracy flag around, and only to get now you have them looking at us like, well, if you have democracy, why is it that your own are turning? That's not democracy, honey. That's anarchy. Like, come on, we got to do something different. Nobody's in charge, and quiet is kept. Nobody's been in charge for 4 years, and that's all I'm saying, because it bothered me the fact that, like I was saying, when all of this took place, we're sitting back and it's like, okay, well, when is Trump going to speak up? And then when Biden finally speaks up, he apologizes for waiting so long to respond because he attempted to acquiesce to the sitting president.
Sure.
That's who they were supposed to hear from first. But since we didn't, it's like, well, somebody needs to speak up. And then here you come appearing late in the midnight hour, before, after God done already turned it around, talking about I love you.
Okay.
I love you. You're appreciated, and I thank you for your support, man. If you don't get off the screen with the foolishness, I would have rather have heard Homer Simpson talking. Look, all right. I'm sorry, man. I can't do it.
Well, I think what happened there's two calls. There's two calls that are blaring right now.
Okay.
And if we go biblical, there's the sound of the trumpet. Okay, I got to make sure I put the ET on the end of that word. Okay,
please do.
The trumpet. Okay, yeah. The sound of the trumpet. If you go Old Testament, that's a call to prayer.
Yes,
a call to awareness. Okay, I would say a whole lot of people, and understandably so, we've been saturated. We've been, watching, and people will often say nothing's going to change, whether I do this or that. You cannot misuse your vote. You cannot allow your vote to go to waste by not exercising it, because you see that the vote has massive power. Even if you're in a state like California that seems to only go one way, you put your vote in there anyway, just in case a tide happens to turn a little bit. You make sure you do your one pushback. My little baby nephew, he's bigger than me now. I took him to the beach for the first time, and he saw these waves coming at him, and he said, I'm going to push him back. Well, what he pushed back was about the size of his tiny little body, but he's a little bit bigger now. And even though he got soaking wet, he was able to participate he got exercise, even if nothing else. Now, the second end, when the trumpet sounds, you go New Testament, or if you go even into Revelation, the one, what you're going to see is that trumpet sounds, and it is God's voice. Okay. Now, I know everybody doesn't believe the same way. We have the freedom not to believe the same way, but you cannot deny certain things that are an alarm. And what has happened, when back to our initial, topic of discussion, how people can fix their mouths to sidestep and make excuses and to turn a blind eye and try to cover up and sweep under the rug and all that kind of stuff. That is the sign, unfortunately, of a disdain for repentance. And I would say that is harsh because a lot of people are using this with a Christian message. There are people who are, they're doing all these prayers and they're all this kind of, and all I say to that is when you decide to speak out your own mouth before you return to God, before you go return to God, not turn to the trumpeter.
Yes.
But when you hear the trumpets, okay.
Yes.
And that is a sign for you to say, hey, whatever they are doing, whatever is happening above my pay grade, outside in the Capitol, whoever has more power than I do, if I feel powerless, I'm supposed to first go to my knees to ask God's forgiveness, his direction, his instruction, to ask him to rework me, to refine and redirect the things in me so that I can go forward rightly and then righteously. When people say that they have co-opted a gospel or designed a version of the gospel that speaks to their truth and works to their advantage and all that kind of stuff, you do the proof texting and all that kind of stuff, you still cannot exempt yourself from a proper repentance when you know there's stuff that you've done that's wrong. Okay. And so for the judge that passed this stuff through, but for those who turned a blind eye within the police department and open up those gates, because we saw that.
We did see that.
For the people, elected officials inside Congress who knew from their cell phones what was about to go down, and they would put on a gas mask before they put on a COVID mask. Okay.
Yes.
All those things will be brought to light. There's a consequence for them, and see what the difference between what I'm saying is what they're saying. They say, oh, there's doom and doom, and you're going to pay. If we have to take lives, we will. God is the final answer on that. When you start to play God, or when you start to he says you'll have no other gods before me. You will know who his messenger is. You will, because he doesn't need a substitute. There's only been one who would stand in between the gap.
We got a problem, Hopkins. We got a big problem.
Point it out.
We got a big problem. There are some pastors that are standing in their pulpit.
Oh, yes.
And they're not talking about the trumpet sounding from Revelation.
Mm-mm.
They have literally told their members,
yeah,
and I'm speaking of the lighter melanin persuasion, they have told their members to lock and load from the pulpit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a problem, sir.
Big problem. It is a big problem. And the sad thing about that is, and I tell this to my congregation, our biggest problem in humanity is self-destructive behavior. Okay. And see, when people do that, they're threatening, but what they're also doing is revealing. Okay. They have put them.
Malcolm X died.
Yes, he did. But what I'm saying is what people
Martin Luther King didn't talk about violence over the pulpit.
No, he did not.
He did speak truth to power.
Yes, he did.
But he didn't tell nobody to shoot.
No.
And got mad at us. But
what we have in this day that we did not have then, when people do that, when they do that, and then they follow up on that, they're under constant surveillance. There's no hiding. In other words, unfortunately, again, the people who exercise in that kind of activity and that kind of talk are making themselves targets. And it's not from us. Here's a big thing. Again, I, as a Black man, I don't want nothing you got. I'm not trying to move in your neighborhood. I can move into a house that I can afford, and I have every right to do so. It's not your neighborhood. It's the bank's neighborhood. That's a Wells Fargo house. Okay.
Right.
Same as mine would be. So when you start talking about taking up arms, we have the same right. Okay. And the thing is, you're going to run into somebody crazier than you are. I hear what you're saying, Lady Fran, but I also got to say, trusting God has now become for the church and those who believe it's a full body experience. Okay.
Yes, it is.
And culturally, here's the thing. Culturally, we have embraced the fact that we might have to do a little bit of humility. Okay. And when a certain group of people act without any remorse, any accountability, without any concern of whatever, they're going to fall on their own traps, their own swords far more often no, we don't need another black body as an example or an exemplar of how crazy things are. We've done that ad nauseum, very much so. But I would still say, our people, we need to arm ourselves with information. We need to just as surely be prepared. We should have known who our next leader would be following President Obama. I look at President-elect Biden and say, hey, nice guy. He's been at a long time, but he is a senior citizen to the highest degree. I kind of think there are some younger Black minds, Hispanic minds, Asian minds, Indian Americans, Asian Americans that might have been able to take up that mantle, that have the energy, that have a longer time to be in service. Now, I will say that the president-elect and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, I think she definitely represents that, that generational shift. But we cannot be so content to let somebody else do it. We still have people in their 50s and 60s who've never voted because they just never got around to it, okay? We still have people saying, I can't run for office because it's too many skeletons in my closet. Look, as long as you haven't threatened the life of a sitting vice president, you're good.
Listen, I'm sorry, because see, I didn't want to. I'm trying to be good today.
White 2024. 2024. I'll manage a campaign. I can write some speeches. Hit me at docopint.com if you need that first campaign.
Listen, plug away, because now you brought up the senior citizen aspect of it all.
Yeah.
But I don't like to play devil's advocate, but I like my thing is I like to be fair. Let's just be completely clear.
Okay.
Biden's reputation is not that clean either.
Not perfect. No.
Okay. So when it really boils down to it, it's almost like we're looking at the lesser of two evils. That's one. I know that there are a number of us richer in melanin skinned people that have not forgotten. I'm just saying that is.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
I see you. I got
not day to day. I might get down to down coconut shell instead of coconut.
You good, man. You got to live in it right where he gave it to you. But no, I know that there are many who have not forgotten those statements from the late 80s and early 90s. I know that we have not forgotten any of those things, but listen, I'm really, really hoping and banking on over the years, the mere fact that each presidency that he is now connected to has been associated with someone of a deeper complected melanin. So it's like maybe you've learned your lesson in how to bridle your tongue. And clearly he has, in that, anytime that you can look now, what you've said, but anytime you can look at another person of the same complexion and persuasion and say, now he's just flat out of line. Okay, fine. Maybe freedom, free at last. Maybe freedom has finally found your mind, and you opened up to the idea that maybe there is such a thing as going too far.
Let me take it to the choir. Let's go back to the top. Okay, the sidestep. Okay. President-elect
I missed those signals. I'm sorry. I know. Almost had a moment.
COVID has robbed us of choir life. I know.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. So
please.
The sidestep that people made with the previous presidential candidate, and I'm not going to name the name. I'm not even going there because it's too rich. But what President-elect Biden has done is kind of what I was talking about. He has made a show of accountability. Now, has he followed that up with a thorough undoing of some of the things that were done or said or enacted? Some, yes. Okay. Some will require work. But look at what this moment has given us. It has given us a voice to revisit those things that have been more alive in our communities, kind of tucked out of sight by others. When the big crack epidemic, we still know some crackheads today, but most of the people who went on this war against crack never saw one until it crept up in their family. They stuck them in therapy and told them, you better not come out. And they did, They had the luxury. Right. So I would say that means that our communities, and I will say communities because it's not just people of color, but oppressed.
No, it's not.
people who are represented in name only. They say the Rhino Republican in name only, but there's some people who are represented in name only. We need to have our voice to know what are the demands of policy that we have. My thing is this: there should be a full-scale intelligence community, combined effort, joint intelligence community to root out and disable the domestic terrorist population. Okay, take out the leaders or disable the leaders. And I'm sure somebody will see this. I'm gonna get trolled. I've been trolled by some racists too, and it didn't make me feel good, but it made me feel impactful. So if little old me is enough to make you mad, be mad.
Please be mad.
Look at these lines in my face, okay? So we have to know the policies that we demand to be enacted, or at least visited in a tangible way, so that there can be evidence that there is work to be done. The Obama administration did some great work to that, of which President-elect Biden was a part of. And I think it will be great to kind of do some corrective, to kind of reestablish some things that were wiped out without any consideration by the current administration. And the thing is, when you start going and saying you're going to tear down someone's legacy, there's always somebody with a bigger statue. There's always somebody with a little bit more endowment of one type or the other. And I'm just going to say this. I said to a colleague earlier today, a lot of our problems, please don't get mad at me, but to the audience, but a lot of our problems in our country and our society.
They're with you. You can do no wrong with the village.
I appreciate that. There's a lot of stuff that stems from bruised male ego, bruised entitled male ego. Now, my ego is what it is. There's no question about where it comes from and all that good stuff, but I don't have the level of entitlement so that where my ego is, when my feelings are hurt, I get to kill people or cause people to starve or cause people to lose their homes or cause people to, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of privilege that is just not existent anywhere else. So what the current president-elect and the vice president have the opportunity to do is to reopen genuine discussion. Yes, we can have unity, but we can't unify with people who are trying to kill us. And if they're that crazy,
you can't even have a conversation. You can't sit down to the table. No, none of that.
I mean, the table can be there, but it's going to be on the other side of questioning before the FBI or the local police. I still say that the people who, when they attack the Capitol police officer with a flag, what kind of symbolism does that give to the world?
The fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
One got hit in the head, like.
Yeah, it means that we're collectively unhinged to the point where anything goes, okay?
Yeah.
And someone asked me, so what does that mean for the church, number one? But then what does that mean? Is America now cursed? Guess what? The nation has always had a debt to pay. There's always been some issues that need to be resolved. Resolving this will not resolve all of them, but I do think there will be enough of a corrective measure in the next 4 to 10 years. And I expand the time frame because you know what? There are more and more things that will be revealed. The Bible says that the glory of God will be revealed and all flesh shall see it together.
Yes.
So flesh has had a long reign of terror. The flesh has been able to kind of get a little besides itself, pardon my English. And I think when we go spiritual, even for those who are citizens and have the right not to believe as we do, they're under our covering. Our prayers protect them, okay? And I think a lot of people in the church, especially if you're in a church that is, very dogmatic, understand when you're praying to God and you're trying to, call for someone else's, destruction or whatever, you got to pray as fervently. Effectual, fervent prayer means you have a prayer for the other person, not for God to destroy them, but for God to correct them, lest we find ourselves outside with the goats instead of in with the sheep. See, when you forget that you might be, and it's not, nothing against once saved, always saved, but saved people get killed too. Saved people do stupid stuff or unfortunately fall victim to stupid people. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So prayer has to be fervent enough that you want the best to happen. And sometimes the best is not going to be what I would really want. Because my thing was, hey, where's the machine gun fire to get multiple of them at one time? I'm wrong for that.
Hello.
because it's not my call. I'm not a licensed officer. I don't have the training to
And
say
that's why I didn't even attempt to go at this stuff, because those would have been the moments that it's like, wait a minute, but we took out, like, I would have felt wrong as an officer.
Yeah.
And it's like, but when it was my color people out here, y'all had us in shades, guns out, ready to roll.
They attacked children.
And now you want me to sit here and get pushed around? You want me to get pushed back and hit?
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah. I would have lost my job that day because the badge would have been flying one way.
That happened to a lady. She was
I'm
a lady.
Sorry. Like, no, we're not about to play this game. Y'all want to get down? Let's get down. Bottom line. Okay, let's take a break. Let's
deep breath. I will say this. I will say this. When 9/11 hit, and the Congress people went out to the Capitol steps and sang the patriotic songs, God Bless America, and all that kind of stuff. I do think our children need to learn a bit about that stuff, especially our part to play in it. You know, we've had a long history of Black and brown patriots from the days of the Native Americans who would join forces at times. I mean, you know, at their own peril, perhaps, but there were people who always wanted the best for the greater good. Okay. And you can't forget that. It's easy to say, oh, this is just cancel culture. They want to change our history. No, we're not changing history. We're illuminating the fullness of the history. And I got to go where someone else went. It was the church that facilitated a lot of the great change in our country, that facilitated abolition, civil rights, you know, all these things that were church-born movements, the women's rights movements, which oddly enough, we still do not have equal protection or pay for women under the law. We still have a separation there that people don't want to talk about because there's a sign of equity, but there's also forms of godliness that deny the power. Okay. So
there you go.
My last little piece is we've got to be aware, we've got to be available, and we've got to be active. You're not considered a radical, leftist, whatever, just because you show up to do your civic duty. My thing is, I don't ever want it to be taken away from me because I didn't show up. So I'm encouraging folk, pray through and be there.
That's all we can do is pray through this thing. I just really wanted to touch on some things because I know a lot of us, you know, because we're sitting in quarantine, so it's like we really don't get the dialogue and hear what we think about it. You know, because there are opinions that we see on TV, and that's cool. We, you know, and it's just information basis or whatever. And I mean, nothing is 100% perfect, and we get that. But I wanted to kind of shed some light on some of the things that really transpired this week, you know, in the wake of what took place at the Capitol. So there have been a multitude of other things that have happened, and I wanted us to hit on it. But I want to woo-saw for a minute and give some shout outs real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I want to give a shout out to the editor of the Glorified Times, who took it upon himself to put an ad for Conversations with Fran in his paper. So I want to say thank you to you, Pastor. That was absolutely amazing. I appreciate you. Then once again, I'm circling back to Charlay Johnson, who will be on the show next week. The Winning Season with Charlay. She released a book for her birthday. I'm proud of her, and I'm seeing it. I got you, Sean. Then Yolanda Dancy has her new project is out, Heart of Worship. It's available now on all digital platforms, so go check out Yolanda Dancy. Her husband is an amazing musician, Sean Dancy. And bro, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm gonna pin that so that way it can be seen. Matter of fact, I get to do it on here, I think. Let me see if I can do it. Y'all bear with me. I get excited when I get to use stuff. Oh, no, I can't see his. Okay, I can't do it that way. But either way, I'll post it on my page so that you all can see her name, Yolanda Dancy. Then the next one I wanted to do was give a shout out to Dwayne Johnson and his wife.
All right.
Happy anniversary. Awesome. I think that thing said 27 years. I don't want to get in trouble, but we bless the Lord because some folks can't look at each other for 3 days. Huh? All right. Y'all wouldn't make it. Oh, y'all would make it in no quarantine. I'm trying, man. I'm trying to.
Hey, I'm with you. And you know what? On that note, on a serious note, you know what? We've got to be honest. You got to pray for your friends who may not be okay. They may not be able to express that they're not okay. There's a lot of
They
relationships.
can't wink, like wink, let blink,
Right.
do something.
A lot of people who've been going through, who I saw several that were going through separations and then they had nowhere to go. So they've been under duress. A lot of children that have been kind of stuck in those, tense situations.
Yeah.
Just be prayerful and check on your people.
Check on everybody, not just the
check on
people you
everybody.
think are weak, not the people you think are strong.
Right.
Check on everyone. Everyone is up against it at this point,
Right.
and just literally trying to survive, trying to make sense of it all. And a lot of people are vacillating back and forth about what to do concerning the health of their children. Or am I gonna send my kids back to school on top of having family and relationship problems and everything else? Listen, it's a lot going on, and I get it, people. And that's why sometimes I come on here and it's like I really don't want to be deep. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest, Hopkins, like all week I've just kind of like been singing around the house, and I'm like, see, this is why I wish I could play for myself, because today probably wouldn't have even been a verbal conversation. I probably would have sung through the whole thing, or I would have sung all my topics out to see how many songs can I make up about what I'm talking. Like it, I just feel like sometimes we just have so much on us, we have to get it out. But I have good news. There will be another concert that will be out in February. Listen, you all thought Hopkins was just so amazing, and that his piano skills were so outstanding that do the people want the song? Hi, Kevin. Thanks for checking us out again. But we definitely, that's your boy Davis. Kevin Davis jumped on.
What's up, Kev?
But yeah, so since you all thought he was so amazing, he has accepted the invitation to return for a trip down Gospel Lane, and that's exactly what we are going to do. We'll be filming it in a couple of days. We got work to do, Doc. I got songs to learn because my dad gave me some criticism. He said, why didn't you learn that first song? It's the most wonderful time. I'm like, Dad, look, first of all, I thought Hopkins was gonna sing it, and then it was no, you're gonna stand and sing. So I'm trying to be obedient to the man of God, I
was just there to accompany the songstress who at this point, check it out. If you check it out on the YouTube and whatnot, it is gaining still in popularity. Sharing it with folks, even though Christmas season is past.
Right.
There's a few timeless moments in there. Certainly a pleasure to look forward to the next go round in honor of Black History coming up. This is the Martin the King holiday. I'm gonna be respectful. I'm gonna also have some comedy because I'm all for the young people. I myself am an honorary millennial, okay, and I get it. I know you want to, but when King Holiday, which is about service and community and all that kind of stuff, but when you want to do your club event and you Photoshop Dr. King wearing, a big old chain and a Hawaiian shirt,
can we not?
Teeth, and let's not disrespect Dr. King in that way. Let's preserve his image. Yes, he was a young man. He was only 39 years old when he passed away, unfortunately. And his legacy continues with his youth and his fervor. But he was in a time where he was always sharp, even in his casual, he was sharp, okay? And he very much still had the respect of young people, younger people who wanted to just follow and just, I've seen some of the advertisements, some of the t-shirts, and, they're making plays on the King name and all that kind of stuff. And I know we do it because, King Day sale. Like if you notice, the mainstream companies are very careful. Costco has a very respectful, get a large, Freedom Vision television, 85 inches at Costco for the King holiday, and here we go trying to put him in some places that if he did go, it was his business. He was grown, and let's not make that available for other people to snipe at. That's all I'm saying. Let's not make Dr. King a target in his absence. But let's also remember the civil rights leaders, John Lewis, C.T. Vivian, others who passed in the last year, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She's doing that to those who have fought for justice. And I would say, when you have, here's what we got to do. Got to have marching orders. When injustice happens, when something happens on the job, speak up, report.
Yes.
Go to your HR. I've found a way to have conversations with CEOs and people who lead companies, and I tell them, you are the chief diversity officer, not the person they're important, but you got to support any initiative with your mouth, your language, your body language. You can't just be, oh, I support this and this is great, and then you run back to the office and close the door and hope that the brown people don't show up at your door. You got to be a little bit more open. And to the reverse of that, start your own business. Stop waiting for somebody else's check to be the only thing you live on and wonder why you're going to stay broke. Listen, how many jobs I got? How many jobs you got, Pastor Fran? Listen.
1, 2, 3, 4. I have 2 or 3 jobs now.
If they tell me not to come to that job in the morning, they say I'm fired, I'm still going to work.
Right.
Okay? I'm just saying,
Right. No, and I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of people don't know, but I serve a predominantly Latino community, and I have to be honest and say, I was shocked this year that they sent out the emails, they sent out the advisory lessons curriculum for acknowledging King. We're gonna, so that way the kids know why they're off, and I'm happy that it didn't come from the Black staff that put it out. I'm a little different. Like, I need to see you all acknowledge us the way you want us to Cesar Chavez everything, and and Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. A lot of them don't know why they're off of certain things or why they do certain things, and so I love the fact that they included that this year, because last year I didn't see it. I'm just gonna be honest, I didn't really see it the way I thought I would. And so I introduced it to my students. So I'm wondering, did it get back? That Miss Fran got kids and they're saying free at last, free at last.
Yes, I got okay. See, this is a trivia moment. So all right. What would you say is the most appropriate anthem for Martin Luther King's Black History Month coming up, civil unrest in the past year since George Floyd? Which are the songs that we know would you say is most relevant or comes to your mind? It's sort of a trick question because there is no answer. I'm just curious.
The first song, honestly, that came to mind was "Oh Freedom."
Okay.
Oh, freedom, before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. That's the first one that came to mind.
Didn't you need that audience? Didn't you? Don't you feel a little bit of freedom?
Man, just know.
Right now. See, my thing is that whenever I watch those old documentaries and I see people of all generations and they're singing, like when they go to "We Shall Overcome," like that. There's a setting that we don't have right now when we have congregational church and where people sing. Sorry. But the thing is, I think we had reached a point prior to COVID where even we were exhausted by it all, and we just didn't give it the respect. We didn't understand, those of us who were born after the fact. The old people would always get emotional about certain things. I used to get mad, and I'd ask my mom, how are they crying so much? What's wrong with these people? They're emotionally unstable. Like, can't they hold it together because they have us holding, stand up straight, look ahead, keep serious, don't let anybody, And the older I get, now I get it. I understand. It's like they're watching the future be born. They're watching what their sacrifices, things that they could never experience fully because they passed the time of their youth. And what they did when they sang in jail cells, when they sang being put in the paddy wagon, being beat, and they still kept singing, kept marching. They were environment. And my thing is, we have so much of that energy and that same firepower. And I'm using that term on purpose because the same firepower that could go and storm the Capitol can build new generational HBCUs. You know what I'm saying? That can build new wealth for our families. That can build houses and industry and so forth. We just can't get so complacent saying somebody else will do it. We just can't let that happen. For me, when they do "We Shall Overcome," it gets to me now because I get it. And then when I hear the Black National Anthem, "Lift Every Voice and Sing," it's a lot of words to that song. It's almost as wordy as a contemporary mumble rap because I don't understand all those words either. See, time is cyclical.
Mumble rap, really?
Credit me if you want, my musicians and historians, but
really, Hopkins?
It's poetic. But it's a lot of words. But when you break it down to tell the story of our people through all of those verses, okay?
Now mine, another one that came to my mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Yes.
That right there. That
Abraham Lincoln's song, "Glory, Glory." I can't name any names, but I saw somebody get a church from that song, okay? Because the pastor was candidating and the wife decided to do a sermonic solo before he preached, and she busted out. But she did it with that old school, kind of like Ray Charles, put it down. Glory, glory. Everybody was glory. Everybody,
that Baptist fit. I love it.
Self-arrest.
Yes.
And even with that, because even as a kid, he's tramping out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. If I see somebody tramping my way, I'm running, okay? But this is Jesus, okay? Tramping it, in other words, in order to get the wine, okay, from the grapes of wrath, they have to be trampled so that freedom can run freely. So, there's going to be a fight for it. But you got to put your hat in the ring to do your part. And you also have to stay through the end. You cannot throw in the title. And listen.
See, now you got me thinking. Now all the songs are coming to mind. Because I think the most apropos one would be now. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Yes. See,
I don't have my house chapter ringing out.
So I believe that I am approaching 39. I'm on my way. Yep. It's official. I don't even want to talk no more. Show over.
When I was doing
done.
When I was doing music ministry full time at the 4th of July is when I would bust out my medley of the patriotic song. Because see, that's the other thing. We got our own spin of it, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. See, they don't know nothing about that. My home,
oh my goodness. See, this is what happens.
Don't you look at that Purple Mountain Majesty past the Los Angeles skyline. I see it in the evening, getting late in the evening. Yeah.
And the sun. Okay, sidebar, everybody.
People thinking I'm nuts.
There were some people that asked me what happened in between those scenes on A Very Merry Christmas. What he's doing right there. You get right. Oh no, pointing the wrong way. There you go. Right there. That's what happened in between those scenes. And then I got to sit there with a straight face because he done already got his face back together. And as soon as they say, okay, we're on, and now I'm the one got me looking like a giggling goose. I'm done.
Not even that's
how Wanda. She is offensive. Wait a minute, Wanda. I'm gonna put you up. She said we the both of you are old. Excuse you. Hopkins, gather. Gather. Bring it in.
I'm trying to bring it in. What does old constitute? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've been around a few times, but I can't take credit from the true elders.
Yeah.
I've seen a few things But I don't know. All I can say is that laughter, that joy, the fact that, see, and here's what I have said. People who are for the first time feeling offense, feeling excluded, feeling that you don't get your way. Look at people who have had to deal with that daily, generationally, for centuries. Look at the people who have had to survive on less, who have had doors slammed in their face, who've been.
Talk about it.
Somebody dropped the N-bomb at me. They didn't think I caught it, but they dropped it in such a way that, it was one of those little side. But see, I've been catching and thwarting side from family on. Okay. So you need to look at the people who have survived, and what have those tactics been? Yes, there's been prayer. Yeah, there's some who've been more active and militant. There have been some who had to speak out and put themselves at risk. But there's also been those who sought the heart, who said, you know what, I'm going to laugh because you cannot take my spirit. You cannot stop me from living an abundant life that was promised to be my mind. Your Jesus might have said, go shoot people. Mine said, come and have an abundant life. Come to my table. I'm going to give you from all this nonsense. You know what I'm saying? So when you see people who will sing or who will engage the spirit to spread just a little bit of, there's some words we only use in a seasonal form. Cheer. You never hear about cheer outside of Christmas time. Okay. Unless you're doing laundry, but there is a need for cheer in the midst of all this nonsense that we're dealing with. So those of us who will try to put out a little bit, hey, so be it. And I dare somebody.
I low-key forgot about cheer. I have to be completely honest. I forgot.
Don't think about it. And only Black people in church talk about joy in sermons. We never, what a joyous day. No one ever says that. They used to, but the language has changed. Yes. And I tell you something else. Remarks. No one on the planet does remarks except for us. Usually at a funeral or a banquet of some kind. You never. I'd like to make remarks to the family before we eat this dinner. I don't, unless you're in a Tyler Perry movie, they do remarks. Oh, okay, sorry.
When they tap the glass,
I'm trying to help the people.
You good, but you know how they tap the glass.
Right.
I would like to get somewhere and sit down.
We'll have. Somebody said, "Don't let nobody turn me around." Yes, drink of the. I'm cracking up now.
I told you.
Yeah,
they are a hot mess.
It's all good. It's all good. And I would say also when you find yourself frustrated with what's going on, we have to show what our rights look like. Theirs is all about the guns. We can have those too. That's fine. Get your registry, get your permit. Don't be stupid with it. Be careful, but prepare yourself for whatever you need to prepare yourself for, but also arm yourself with knowledge. Know what your rights are.
Know why you're out there. Yeah, know your why. That is the most important thing ever.
Yeah, know your federal law, your state law, your local statutes in your cities and towns and burgs. Understand what people can and say and do to access your property. It's time coming up. Guess what? Read your tax stuff very thoroughly, because if you got one in 2020, there's a penalty for that. There's something you're gonna have to pay back at some point, because it's always gonna be done on the taxpayer's back. So don't be mad. And it says be angry and sin not. There is a sin of negligence that can happen when we just only be mad and don't do our due diligence. Because we do have to give Caesar what Caesar's, give God's what's God's. But when we are of the mindset that when I do these things, they're not taking anything from me, then I'm not able to get more. God will restore. He will supply.
And my God shall.
Listen, see, Pastoral Princess has been, in pleasant palatial surroundings. I've been out there.
Knock it off.
I've been out there on those streets, on Wilshire and Weston and
Wilshire
and Pass and
did you just say Wilshire?
Crenshaw, and I've been out there. Greenville, where my Greenville people, Augusta Road and Haywood.
Somebody come get him. Somebody, please.
Olive, I've been out there on Alameda.
Alameda?
Yes, I've been in the Santee Alley.
Listen.
The alley so low.
Oh man, Santee. Let's see, you naming all the places I can't go because I don't,
We can't.
I don't go no more.
You can't. It's not the same. But hey,
Yeah.
just be. My thing is, here's another one. Jesus getting you ready for what? That great day. So okay, if your great day includes the places where you will taste of the wine and honey or the milk and honey,
I'm about to say I want milk.
fair enough. There was wine at communion, so let's not.
Yeah, I know. But I just
we just have to. I would say if we're going to be trusting God, let's trust Him for all of it. If He's able, He's going to remain able to do exceedingly and abundantly above what you ask or think. So
Absolutely.
when you see people acting like vermin, and that's their chief desire to dig and root like
you
animals,
talk about the ones that was climbing the wall. Oh, sorry, too soon.
let them.
Too soon. Okay.
Fair enough. My point is, if that's all they want, let them have that. Because what God has for us is so much. It's out of range of the screen.
Absolutely. Well, I want to say thank you to you for joining, for popping in.
My
it's
pleasure.
always amazing and always a riot. Well, maybe I shouldn't use that word. You're right. I'm not doing it today. I'm gonna let them. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
And I'm so grateful to the village for joining in. You all are absolutely amazing always. Oh, and thank you, Sister White. It's Pastor Michael Augustine. Thank you so much, sir. Editor for the Glorified Times, for thinking enough of the Conversations with Fran YouTube show to share it in your awesome newspaper. For it to be seen throughout the city. I'm truly grateful. The support is always amazing. Los Angeles has always been good to me, and I'm so grateful for that. And once again, on the shout outs, happy anniversary to Dwayne Johnson and Lady Johnson. Congratulations to Charlay Johnson, who celebrated her birthday this week, and her gift to herself was writing a book. And I believe it has some details about her journey with her son Evan, who was born on Christmas, and before that baby made it to 5 or 6, had already had 5 surgeries, open heart surgeries. So Evan is definitely Los Angeles miracle. He is the Los Angeles miracle baby.
All right.
We're always so very proud of him and all of the strides that he has made. Not only that, but his parents as well, Pastor Elton and Lady Charlay of the Metropolitan Baptist Church. I truly and sincerely love you both, but I'm looking forward to her sharing the winning season with Charlay next Friday. And I thank you all for joining us for Freedom Friday. And thank you, Hopkins, because you kept me from going too far. All right, all at the same time.
All good.
If you're not busy tomorrow at 11 a.m., I will be at the wonderful Compton Community SDA Church, where I will be in praise and worship with the amazing members of Compton Community. That is like a second family to me, and I'm looking forward to being with them. I love you all. It's been great, but a sister got a master's program that she got to finish, and I am doing a countdown. Do you understand? I am 2 months in, 17 to go. Lift your hands and tell God thank you. All right.
You got this. You got this. You got it.
You. I appreciate it. All right, you all. Take care. I love you all so much. Bye.